An investigation by the Fifth Estate and Radio-Canada has found serious issues with the Canada Revenue Agency's handling of taxpayers' money and their private information. This follows a series of cyber attacks against the CRA at the height of the COVID pandemic. That's when hackers scammed various emergency benefits by making false claims using at least 12,000 Canadians' tax accounts.
CRA has to tell taxpayers, look, we have a problem, this is happening, so we will make sure that it does not happen in the future.
At the time, the government said they'd brought those hacks under control. The Fifth Estate found that only 100 privacy breaches were reported to Parliament between 2020 and 2023, while there were tens of thousands of breaches, and Canadians have been kept mostly in the dark. All right, to break down how this affects public trust in the CRA and the government, I'm joined by Cavoukian. She's the former three-term Ontario Privacy Commissioner and the Executive Director of the Global Privacy and Security by Design Centre, joining us from Toronto. Anne, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for this.
My pleasure, Angie.
What is going through your mind when you hear millions of dollars in bogus payments? I mean, in the end, of course, you say, where's the accountability? Who's responsible?
It's almost beyond belief, because not only is this an enormous privacy infraction, but people gaining access, hackers gaining access to all of your tax information, filing false returns, changing your direct deposit information, making up new home addresses. This is appalling. So not only is your personal information completely violated, but this is your tax information. Where perhaps you might get a tax refund or whatever, extremely personal. And all of this has just been going out the door. This is just appalling.
When we come, and we've had a lot of conversations in terms of privacy, security, and this is not the first time, of course, when we look at, other situations of hacking, occurring. How does something like this happen, though? You would think with it being a government agency, there would be the utmost checks and balances, the utmost level of security.
And that's exactly the point. The security was obviously totally lacking. These hackers, and hackers are brilliant, let me be clear, but that's why you need very strong guardrails to prevent them being able to hack into the most personal information, such as your tax information, which has not only your personal identifiers linked to it, your name, address, your social insurance number, but your financial data. This is extremely sensitive data. And how they could just penetrate within the CRA, obtain this information, millions of records, and the CRA, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal to them. This has been kept quiet for a very long time.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that, the fact that they did not report the breach to the public themselves, with this, of course, coming out of an investigation here, of course, with here at CBC. So what about that level of accountability then? Why not let people know that this has happened to them?
Absolutely. It compounds the concern dramatically, because not only did all this outrageous activity take place, not only in terms of privacy invasiveness, but fraudulently gaining access to your tax records and changing the home address in order to claim bogus refunds. Not only did all of that take place, but the CRA should have been investigating this. At the minute they found out about it, there should be some parliamentary committee that oversees the investigation and reports to the public how dramatically not only their privacy, but their financial records have been impacted. None of that took place.
What do Canadians then need to do to keep themselves safe? Not just with what's happened now, but sort of looking bigger picture and ahead.
I think we have to demand to our legislators, to the Parliament, we have to say, we need a huge investigation of this. And don't try to keep it quiet, but we need to find out how this took place so that ideally we can prevent it in future. And also any people who have been impacted, whose privacy has clearly been violated, they need to be compensated. Certainly they need to be made aware of what has transpired. We need to do a great deal here.
Really quickly, Anne, before I let you go then, what has to change? What needs to be done to prevent something like this from happening again?
let's start with a parliamentary committee or some kind of committee immediately to investigate this particular incident, and then make it clear that with recommendations as to what guardrails must be erected to prevent this from happening in the future. And the moment there's any awareness of this type of activity, you shout it from the rooftop so that you can prevent its growth and recurrence.
Security of Canadians needs to be at the forefront indeed. Anne, thank you so much for this. Anne Cavoukian, the former 3-term Ontario Privacy Commissioner.